Joining us right now, the chief macro strategist for GFI Group, John Spallanzani. John, good to see you.
Good seeing you again.
Last time you were here, you said buy stock, sell on inauguration day.
Yes, it was about 21.98. I think you said buy 2200. I think that I think the pain trade remains is still higher as we go into year end. I think that a lot of people have put off tax selling until next year now, so that's another reason why the pain trade is higher. People are below investment in terms of chase for performance as we go into year end. So I think a lot of things set up nicely. This week we obviously have the Fed, we have retail sales. So I think that right now we're taking a little bit of breather. That's why oil is up. The energy stocks are doing pretty well, but over the broad averages are unchanged right now.
People shouldn't sell indiscriminately, though, right? I mean, they should pick and choose what they're selling on our inauguration day, as you're talking about. So they stick with small caps that have done very well, that actually won't hurt as much given the stronger dollar environment we're seeing, given that they don't tend to export more. I mean, where should they be doing on inauguration day?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to sell exactly on. I would not be surprised if there was profit taking. Yeah, on inauguration day. Because right now, Trump could kind of say whatever he wants, but he's the president-elect, right? And I think that's why we see the comments about Taiwan, because until he's president, he can say whatever he wants about Taiwan. So that's really a chit to Bob Dole, who was kind of one of the only Republicans that really backed him. So again, there was a parabolic move really in Russell, right? There was a parabolic move in materials. So we saw a lot of huge moves, right? Pre-election night, the IWM, the Russell 2000, was trading at 108. It's now up to 135. So I would not be surprised if people took profits there on inauguration day. So, really he has an agenda, and now once he puts his hand on the Bible, then it becomes reality, and he has to really see what he could get through McConnell and Ryan.
Can you remember any president that, at least even before the inauguration, that the markets had placed so many bets on?
Well,
an investor, and because it becomes tricky as Trump starts tweeting about individual companies, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Boeing, as an example of just the Air Force One project, that he's not just moving markets. He's moving individual stuff.
Okay, but have we seen this kind of economic growth plan out of any other administration? I mean, lowering taxes to the lowest in the industrialized world, rolling back regulations to the extent that it is going to take pressure off business. I don't know that we've seen this.
Right, Reagan in the early 80s when he took office.
You compare it to Reagan.
And with Volcker fighting inflation the way it was as well.
Yeah, the thing that people, if you go back and look at history, right, Reagan, I think before the election, the market rallied 40% from March to November. So the market started to discount that he was going to be the president prior to that. So that was a 40% move. Then after he was elected, the market kind of went down and down to 1981, 1982, and then it really took off. So there was a 40% move from March to November for Reagan, and then the honeymoon was kind of a little bit over until he got into office. So I think right now, the moves that we're seeing are, quote-unquote parabolic, but not 40%, right? The S&P is only up, 5% since inauguration day. The Russell is obviously up 13%. Materials are up 20%, but in terms of the overall market, I think.
Yeah, and the difference between Reagan's tenure is that he didn't have the House, the Senate, and, as well as the governor. I mean, he's got everything going for him in regard to that. But what he also has going for him is a Fed that's backing him on his fiscal policy. We've seen governor after governor beg and plead for fiscal policies. That's why you're seeing the market move, because they can't do anything more with their monetary policies. The only thing they can do is raise from here. And they also have $4 trillion still on their balance sheet. So should investors be concerned about that, as well as their fixed income holdings, that should we start to see the Fed balance sheet unravel, that the prices of their bonds are going to go down?
Yeah, I think that it's a global phenomenon, right? So everybody is going from monetary stimulus to fiscal stimulus. That's why you're seeing all these elections go for the majority, really, for the really people who want fiscal spending, right? They want lower taxes. They're done with austerity and everything else. Everybody wants a breath of fresh air. So in terms of the bonds, the bonds, the 10-year is 2.5%, right? We're only up like 20 basis points. We're not up a lot on the year.
So the highest in 2 years, though.
Yeah, highest in 2 years. But this year, it's not up tremendously. I think if we get a move to over 3%, that's that's big, but I don't think we're going to see GDP accelerate that fast until the later half of 2017. So I think right now bonds, you're going to probably have a lot of guys who are going to rotate back into bonds because pension funds, that kind of thing, because really, you know, Japanese yields went up to 0.08 last night. You know, obviously, Germany is still very low. So there's a lot of pension money that has to be moved around as well.
By the way, Lockheed Martin stock is down on that most recent tweet by Donald Trump. And, of course, we know that Boeing just did this deal with Iran, signing a deal with Iran to sell them 80 jets. Even as we know what Trump said that he wants to do about this deal. This is a $17 billion deal, John.
I think the interesting thing about the Lockheed Martin tweet is the fact that he said he wants to increase defense spending, but he doesn't want to be stupid about it.
Yeah.
So he's basically telling Lockheed and the other contractors, listen, we're going to give you a chit, right? We're going to increase defense spending, but listen, you guys got to help us out as well. So don't think you're going to charge us, you know, $20 billion for an F-35.
It's also an allocation of money, though. We had that report that was leaked about the $125 billion in waste in the Defense Department.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Where we have a bigger logistics department within the U.S. military than UPS is. Basically, people handling the logistics. It's larger than the United Parcel Service.
And who is one of Trump's biggest supporters, Fred Smith from FedEx. So he's going to go into. I'm sure he's going to help him out once. You know, it's a lengthy process that he has to go through all these contracts and trade deals and everything else to see what the heck is going on.
I actually understand this. It's about an allocation of resources. It's like you could take that $125 billion. That's 50 brigades. Yeah. So is it men versus machines? Is it people in the back office? It's a million people in the back office.
He's watching the cost.
Well, he's right. This Joint Strike Fighter costs $1.5 trillion, and it hasn't been combat ready. It's been a snafu after a snafu.
Has trouble flying in the rain. It's ridiculous.
And not only that, you know, you go back to, you know, Woman skating ring, all that, you know, can you extrapolate a little bit? You probably can, but there's ways to get things done, and a lot of it is common sense that I think he's bringing like you said, the best leaders to government to really squeeze out their waste and also save everybody money.
Yeah, they have proven track records of actually running organizations.
Before you go, do you see investor interest in defense stocks? When you're sitting there on the desk, where do you see the most interest? Which group?
Diamonds right now, right?
Diamonds.
So Dow Jones Industrial Average is really what they're buying.
It's the holidays and, you know.
Okay, so broad, you're talking about a broad ETF.
Exactly. The diamonds are doing quite well right now, along obviously with the Russell, but you're seeing those big cap stocks feeling a lot better because they're so heavily weighted in a lot of the Trump areas.
Even with the dollar strength.
Exactly, yep.
And the worries of a trade.
Yeah.
John, good to see you.
Good seeing you.
Thanks so much. Great day to you. John Spallanzani.